Bloodborne is better than Elden Ring. There, I said it. Before anyone starts to have a gamer tantrum and type an argument in the comments, go ahead, post it, actually. I need engagement. Bad. Over here rocking 159 subs, like, I need it. Speaking of, only 1 out of 9 demigods are subscribed. The one is Ronnie. No, but actually, I have a reason behind my opinion. And it's not that Elden Ring is a bad game. Far from it. I just don't think it's a 10 out of 10. Before I get into the video, let me give a little disclaimer. I've beaten both games, but I haven't 100%ed both because I'm not a masochist. So this video will have spoilers for the entire story of each. DLC won't be considered because Elden Ring's DLC that's anticipated isn't out yet. Technically it hasn't been announced really, but we know it's coming. And frankly, I haven't had the time to finish Bloodborne's DLC. So, yeah. And finally, footage you see in the background will mainly be from trailers and places like IGN, but there will be some from the community. I'll link any channels I use content from in the description. Let's get into this video then. To keep the little Souls gremlins happy, I'll start with the one area Elden Ring is on par with Bloodborne in, even if it's in different ways, and that's visuals. Elden Ring is the death throes of the last console generation. It's a beast of a game with beautiful visuals, and I'm sure you're seeing these in the background. Vast castles, lakes, fields, mountains, even a bloody scarlet swamp, because of course there's a swamp that's got an even worse version of poison. Oh, and there's big fucking golden trees everywhere. The game is bright and full of life even in this dying world. This is unlike Bloodborne. Bloodborne is this dark and sorrowful atmosphere with cramped city streets, dark skies, grungy Victorian architecture. It looks like it's straight out of an H.P. Lovecraft novel. In its defense, it does have one castle to call its own, but that castle is not as sprawling as those in Elden Ring. These games have completely opposite art directions, basically. They both have their merits. Elden Ring's art direction is just more modern. The graphical fidelity is better, but also the world is just more modern. Both worlds are in decay and dying, but Elden Ring has a brighter and newer feeling world. There are crumbling cities everywhere, ruins, Celia town of sorcery that's dead, but there's also a huge golden city in the center, and all of this life to the world. There's just animals around. There's trees. There's just more living. It's more alive. It's more modern. Bloodborne, on the other hand, is old, decrepit, lived in, and most of all dying, even more than what we see in Elden Ring. It's a world during the hunt, an infinite night. There's darkness all around, blood, gore, horrors beyond comprehension. The game suffers some from, being almost 8 years old, but it still looks great. It perfectly encapsulates the works of H.P. Lovecraft and Edgar Allan Poe, which I'm sure you've all heard it compared to. And it's also similar to Junji Ito, which I think was probably a bigger inspiration than a lot of Western people think it would be. The visuals for each of these games are the best they can be because they fit their worlds perfectly, which segues into the next topic. This is where I'm going to start shit-talking the game of the year, so be warned. Basically, Elden Ring is too damn big. It's an open world, but it's too open, if that makes any sense. The world is huge and filled with caves and mini-dungeons, but that's the issue. The world is almost all small, linear dungeons spread so far apart, with some random item at the end that might not even be for your build. The world just doesn't feel connected. There's a few legacy dungeons, but besides that, it's all in little individual pieces. What adds to this is the ability to teleport to sites of grace, the game's version of bonfires or lanterns, from the map. That's right, a Souls game with a map. Because of the huge world and the ability to fast travel, you don't really explore the world as much as you just travel it. You teleport around the world and go wherever you need, but you don't really explore. You don't learn the world, learn the nooks and crannies, and become part of it. You might be kind of having trouble understanding what I mean by that. Well, let's talk about Bloodborne then, and I can kind of flesh out that argument. In comparison to Elden Ring and other Souls games, Bloodborne's world is small. This sounds like a negative, but it's actually one of the game's strengths. There are so many loops and shortcuts to get around the world in Bloodborne that you really explore it and experience the world. You're a part of it. All of these areas kind of interconnect to this hub city called Yharnam. Speaking of hub, the Hunter's Dream. There isn't any fast travel from lantern to lantern in this game. First, you have to go to the Hunter's Dream. The Hunter's Dream is a hub where you can buy resources, upgrade weapons, and level up. It's similar to the Golden Order that is in Elden Ring. Basically, to fast travel, you have to go to the Hunter's Dream and go to one of the tombstones where you can then teleport to a lantern. This disincentivizes teleporting everywhere when, a lot of the time, because of loading screens and just hassle, it's easier to just go to the place you need to get. Plus, you're getting blood echoes on the way. So, it means you have to actually travel the world. And there's no map. But you learn landmarks. You learn the shortcuts. You just don't TP wherever you want to go. You actually explore the world and become part of it. This is what makes the world feel so much more real. It feels less like a game where you're just teleporting and going straight to the objective, and more like a living world, more like a story you're taking a part in. And that's why I love Bloodborne's world. And that's a good way to get into our next part. Bloodborne has a story you play an active part in. You have agency in it. In Elden Ring, you just follow whatever side quest gets you the ending you want. Bloodborne is a story that's actively happening. You play a part and it feels like it. Even more so because you know the world by heart. In Bloodborne, it's up to the player to end this eternal night and kill these eldritch beings. Slowly, the player gains insight, the game's version of humanity. And this lets the player see what's truly happening as the invisible eldritch horrors become visible. Finally, you, the player, makes the final decision in this world. You don't pass it on to the whims of some other faction. You're not following what someone else tells you to do. You make the decision. And in my case, that decision was turning into a sluggy boy. In Elden Ring, the story has kind of already happened. Just like Dark Souls, you're in a world where the story has passed. Heroes have triumphed and then fallen. You follow, saving the fuck-ups of these gods and demigods and whatever the fuck else, and then finally you get to the ending, where you pass on what happens to the whims of whatever faction you choose to support. And the right choice is Ranni, because she's the best. Waifu for laifu. I'm kidding. But now we're on to the most important aspect to judging a game by, debatably. Guys, the Souls games are like hard. Before any of you tell me I just don't like Elden Ring because it's difficult, you're a little right. But it's not because Elden Ring is hard, it's because it's unfair. Take Malenia. And yes, I did beat her. Malenia steals health on hit, even if it's blocked, and has a crazy combo you've all heard of called Waterfowl Dance. And is all around a fucking bitch. Malenia is the most egregious example, but for most bosses in the game, they also don't follow these rules. They don't follow the rules that the player does. They don't feel like there's weight to their attacks. They're not strongly choreographed a lot of the time. They don't feel like they have stamina bars. They just spam attacks. And they can cancel out of some of their attacks, something the player just can't do. Elden Ring follows the same trend as Souls games have since Bloodborne. They've been getting faster. And it's not for the better. Elden Ring is too fast. And also, there's just too many options. without an online guide or exploring the huge world for hours and hours and hours and fucking hours, you won't have the resources to try different builds. But there's a multitude of weapons out there to try, and not to mention sorceries and incantations. This means the player, if they upgrade one weapon, they're kind of stuck with it if they don't want to go online and find the resources they need. So it's so open, but they're not going to be able to use most of the items they get anyway, because all of these dungeons might have an item that needs 60 intelligence to use. Well, guess what? You're a strength faith build. That doesn't matter. Then there's Bloodborne. In Bloodborne, you're a hunter, and you're basically a boss all on your own. You have a trick weapon, possibly the best thing FromSoft has introduced. This, based on the name, has a trick to it. The trick form can be activated with L1. This basically changes it into a different weapon entirely. Maybe going from one-handed to two-handed, or in the case of the Tonitrus, getting electricity and stuff like that. This is great because the number of weapon options has been reduced drastically. But for one, you basically have two weapons on you at all times. So, I mean, you have two weapons for the price of one. That changes what you can do. There's so much more variability. But also, these small number of weapons are all very viable. So players don't have to worry about picking the wrong weapon and upgrading it. The next addition to Bloodborne, besides trick weapons, is guns. Yeah, they added guns, straight up guns to the Bloodborne arsenal. These are what replaces shields in the offhand, and force the player to play more actively, more fast, I guess. They can shoot to parry, but they can't block, because, you know, it's a fucking gun. You parry with Quicksilver bullets, which, if you run out, you just stab yourself and take your own health to get more. But you can get back that health, and any health you lose within a certain amount of time, with the rally system. This is what makes Bloodborne's faster pace better. With the rally system, when you do damage to an enemy within so long of taking damage, as you can see on the health bar, where there's a darker area of red, that is health you can give yourself back by attacking enemies. This is a lifesaver with how fast the combat is, and I don't know how Elden Ring hasn't implemented something similar when its combat is arguably faster. The game doesn't let you be passive. The whole thing is built around stepping up and taking initiative. But even it doesn't have bosses that are as bad as Elden Ring. In Bloodborne, you fight beasts that are fast and tricky, but they're not unfair. Their attacks are choreographed and dodgeable, with the right rolling or positioning or sometimes walking. For example, Gehrman, possibly the hardest boss in Bloodborne. He's pretty fast, but all of his attacks are choreographed and you just can't spam them. He's a great boss and an amazing test of skill for the end of the game because he's a hunter too. He's been kind of helping the player along this whole time. So it's not exactly a mirror match, but close. He uses the same resources the player has. Because of all of this, I think Bloodborne has an almost perfect combat system. In summary, Elden Ring is still a really good game. It probably deserved Game of the Year. But it's no 10 out of 10. I would personally give it more of an 8 out of 10, with Bloodborne getting a 9. I love both of these games, but Bloodborne is one of my favorites of all time, while Elden Ring is just really good. I know that seems kind of nitpicky after all of this stuff I've been saying about Elden Ring and like putting it down, but that's because when you're at this high of a level, those detriments are big. I already have New Game Plus runs of both games planned, and I'm really excited for them. But seeing all these reviews praising Elden Ring and giving it 10 out of 10 has kind of been getting on my nerves, because it doesn't deserve it. There aren't perfect games. Except maybe Chrono Trigger and Super Metroid, but we're going to ignore that for these reviews. But Elden Ring sure as hell doesn't deserve to be called perfect. In the end, I think Bloodborne is just better. But that's my opinion. And to show that I'm not just going to sit on my high horse and spout my opinion on the pros and cons of the two games, I brought on two of my best friends to give their opinions on the matter. So, here's that. So tell me, E, is Bloodborne or Elden Ring better, and why? Give me a short summary.
I think Elden Ring is better, mostly because I enjoyed the general game feel of it more, and the general style and art direction of it kind of meshed a lot better, especially for a game that is completely about, exploring and everything and trying to discover the secrets of the world. I think it does that better than Bloodborne does, at least in my opinion.
Thank you. Okay, Cheese. Tell me, do you think Bloodborne or Elden Ring is better, and why? Give me a short little summary.
Okay. Well, if I had to choose between Elden Ring or Bloodborne, I would choose Elden Ring. The biggest reason why I would choose it would be to the sense of wonder that I felt when exploring the world. I always wanted to see what was around every corner and find all the new areas. In Bloodborne, it is more of a, say, very linear game that will have linear paths.
That is normally what linear
like the
means.
exploration. Yeah. I just love the grand wonder that I had while exploring the world.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
But with that, this video is going to come to a close. I think this is going to end up as one of my longer videos, so I hope you all enjoyed the time and effort I put in. I have another video about the inspirations and story of Bloodborne in the works, plus other videos. I hope you all subscribe to see more and maybe like the video because it would be nice. Maybe, please. Anyway, that's all everyone. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.